Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the On Time, On Target morning show where we invest with fighter pilot precision on a daily basis. Got a lot to talk about today. The first primary thing for today is a new Buzz ETF. So cool name, BUZZ. It's followed by some cool people that are very influential. Dave Portnoy being probably the main one, the president or the boss of Barstool Sports, as well as a kind of well-known blogger, internet personality, if you will. So he's behind this thing. He's been a momentum investor for years. He came up with this Buzz Index. I don't know if it was him, but he was involved in it anyway. And again, momentum investing is what we're going to talk about today. And whether or not that's right for you, I will tell you it is high risk. In a very short microcosm, you're looking at Wall Street Bets as like a daily momentum investing sort of thing, where they pick something that goes higher. Today, it's Tanger Outlets is the rumor that's out there. So we'll follow that just at least through the market open this morning. But generally, momentum investing, excuse me, still have this cough. Generally, momentum investing is where something takes off to the moon and you buy it high, hoping it'll go higher. So that's the kind of definition of momentum investing. And Buzz ETF is out there today. We'll take a look at the open and see if it's trading already and kind of watch it from there. But if you look over in the chat window, I've got DraftKings, which is one of the main holdings of this Buzz ETF. And again, Portnoy is kind of tied to DraftKings too, gambling. So the Buzz ETF have optimist earnings. Marvell has an acquisition. Both of those will be shorts. And then again, like I mentioned, Tangier is the target. That's ticker SKT of Wall Street Bets today for having a 30% short position. So we'll take a look at all of those. And we'll also, for our question of the day, get into what is an ETF and how they exactly operate. The question came up in the past about, well, like with VXX, which is an ETF, it's like it tracks the VIX, which is an index. So you have an index here that's moving, as the index moves, and then you have the ETF designed to track that is supposed to move just like it, but it doesn't because it trades on the open market. So it moves however the open market decides it's going to move. So we're going to peel some of that stuff back today. I think it'll be very educational for you. With that, if you're checking us on replay, thank you so much for checking us out. Make sure you subscribe, hit notifications bell. And if you want to join us live, there's information at OTOTnow.com. With that, let's go ahead and get started. All right, welcome back, everyone. Here's our lineup card for the day. Get rid of this extra screen up here. Okay, here's our lineup card for today. Make sure you have your chat window open using a call sign, as well as make sure you have your Q&A window open as well. Standard disclaimer applies. This is a financial education briefing, so therefore you have to do your own due diligence before you act upon anything you hear this morning, and full disclaimer information is available at OTOTnow.com. All right, our mission objectives, as always, grow our money, protect our money, live off our money. Momentum investing is the ultimate in growing your money. And I would say it was probably going into maybe the tech. I'm trying to think of when I first heard of momentum investing, and it was kind of the going into the tech craze, if you will, of the late 90s. And I remember where I was stationed in Florida, living on the beach, learning to fly, one of the frontline fighters out there. And in my spare time, I was doing a lot of investing, and because all of the tech names were just on fire, right? And you would think nothing of buying something at its all-time high because it was screaming higher. And, the meme names from back then would be like, pets.com, sort of investments. So let's put up a website and buy our pets online. Well, that didn't work out. But so many things were running up so fast then that that was the way to invest. Value was dead. Momentum was the only way to do it. So when you think momentum investing, it's buy high and sell higher. Well, that's scary to a lot of folks, and I will tell you that it is very high risk. You shouldn't be scared of it. You should just acknowledge the risk that if you're going to do it, there's a huge downside and not necessarily a huge upside to it. But sometimes when markets are screaming higher, that's the only thing you can really do out there. And I will tell you that the names I'm going to throw out there today are not names like GameStop. They're not names like Costs and AMC. They're names, if you scroll down a little bit there, that we're heavily invested in for many of us. Maybe not so much, Twitter, but that's, of course, Twitter's been fantastic, and I've missed out on it completely because I don't like it as an investment. But DraftKings, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, and even Ford is thrown into this index for buzz, is what I'm talking about. Really, Ford, a Momo name. So it's kind of interesting, if you will, the names that are in there. And I wouldn't consider Apple a momentum name. I would actually consider Apple undervalued right now, and I've talked openly about that. Amazon's knocking on the door of 3,000, meaning back to 3,000, right? Which called, I think it's a buying opportunity. Had a conversation with somebody yesterday about Salesforce.com, same sort of thing, off significantly from its highs and kind of right at resistance. So I think there's buying opportunities out there for good quality companies with long-term thesis. That's not necessarily how a momentum index works. It just catches whatever's on fire, so if it's a name like Tilray or Twilio, if you have a cool name and you're on fire, then you go into the index. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. It is not for everybody. If you're in retirement living off your income, complete pass, right? I'm taking a personal pass on the Buzz ETF. I'm not putting folks into this because I think it's going to do a hammerhead, if you will. It's going to rip higher today. So trade it, don't own it. And I think it's probably going to do a hammerhead stall, meaning coming right back down. And it'll take a while for that price discovery to figure out what this thing's actually worth. It is not a new concept. There is an MTUM ETF called Momentum. If you want to pull that up again, MTUM out there, that's been doing this for, decades. I think there's a Momo ETF. I'd have to look that up. But I know for sure MTUM is a momentum ETF. This is the exact same thing. So we'll get into that. We'll also talk about what is an ETF. Excuse me, for our flow today, long, short, open, short, long. Again, always focusing in the room on the long-term stuff, but the short-term stuff is kind of fun. So we zoom in on that for the market open and and go from there. I was thinking back yesterday in the history of doing this for the past 9 months. That's the first time I was talking through the opening bell in all of the, 270 shows or whatever that I put out, 250, I think. But still talking at the open, which first time it's ever happened. So long-winded yesterday, despite the stupid cough. We'll do a market review, headline review. We'll talk about some long-term investments. Again, I have 6 of them listed here. We don't need to look at Ford, but we'll look at Momentum, MTUM as well. Okay, we'll get into short-term execution again. If you're late to the room, there's the names we're going to be taking a look at: 2 longs, 2 shorts, and the Wall Street bet long of the day. We'll execute the market open, and we'll get to our what is an ETF question of the day. Remember, there's a Q&A window. If you have anything on your mind or any particular stock on your mind, go and throw that in there. We'll talk about it. That's why I'm here. Contingencies and academic resources are standard. All right, let's take a look at TD Ameritrade. We'll go over, and yesterday there was some red, right? So it's good, always good, like we talked about yesterday, like we talk about every day. The reason I show this chart is to make sure you zoom out, right? So when you think of, oh my gosh, let's see, Thursday, Wednesday, from last Friday, Monday, losing money, it's like, well, are you now? Come on. So you take this line, you go all the way across. It's like, look, we've been making money all the way through the election. We thought that would be contentious. It wasn't. Well, the election was. The market response was not. Clarify. We're still in this up channel. Again, I don't draw these lines. These are computer generated lines. So we are in an up channel. Now, are we on the verge of breaking it? Yeah, I think we could break out of it today. I am anxious to buy today, actually. I was surprised that the futures weren't up. I could see this being a big green day. I am perfectly happy buying right here. That does not mean it's not going to bust through the bottom of the channel and break this. But new money that's rolling in, which it does every day in my business, I've been kind of sitting on my hands for a while, waiting to buy. Well, I'm ready to buy. And again, hey, do your own due diligence. But Amazon at 3,000, CRM, Salesforce.com at 240, I think. Apple sitting where it's sitting, it's not going to break 200 in my opinion. So don't wait for 200. I don't think you're going to, 180. I think I'm off on my Apple. Pull that up real quick. Yeah, I'll have it over here. I'm sorry, it's not going to break 100. It's sitting at 128 right now. So, you can hold for a lower price if you want. I just don't think you're going to get it. So overall, in an uptrend is the important note there. All right, you zoom in on the 5-day and showing how we're going into the open. So here's where we closed yesterday after that big red, not big red, but at least a red down day, which kind of sold off into the close if you're watching that. Sideways and then started to leak again. We're back up to where we were at the close. So pretty flat going into the open. And we had a good unemployment number this morning. All right, here's gonna be our setup for the day trading stuff. We'll have DraftKings long and then OTOT and Marvell short for their particular reasons from there. All right, let's go over to CNBC. Make sure I have this set up correctly. There we go. Take a look at some headlines. There it is. Nope, I don't think that worked. And there we go. That looks correct. Okay, you do see the Dow in the green a little bit, and we'll refresh that to make sure that's accurate. NASDAQ, hopefully the selling stops. Whether it screams high or not, I don't really care. It would be nice to see the selling stop. Again, I think I saw 4.4% down this week or something like that. So again, getting into that buying opportunity. Europe in the red across the board. Asia's really in the red, largely driven by tech stocks. There's our numbers from yesterday, again, down 2.7 in the NASDAQ. Bond yields back increasing again, nowhere near that 1.6 that we had that was spooking everybody. Oil stabilized above 60. Gold and silver have been selling off lately. If you're a gold bug, 1,700 is not what you like to see. I think all this is completely Bitcoin money. Like if you're the investor who says, I don't like the market, I want to buy a hedge, you're buying Bitcoin right now. You're not really buying gold unless you're not well versed yet in crypto. Speaking of, Bitcoin dropped below 50. You know that I think below 50 it's a buy. That's crazy. I would not have imagined I'd ever say that. But there's so much momentum behind Bitcoin that I don't mind getting in on it here. We got in at 31,000. All right, some news. Our investor number is in here. So weekly jobless claims. There it is. Excuse me, unemployment number. I think it was 745,000 versus 750,000 expected. Remember, that's day one, and then tomorrow you get the unemployment number specifically. All right, big sale of Tesla shares out there. Again, this can be a little misleading. It's his number one holding. So again, like when you got the headline of Buffett selling Apple, yeah, well, he's also keeping 95% of his shares. So fun with headlines. Just you got to look into things. You can't just take it. You cannot believe what you see out there. Okay, there's Okta, one of our shorts out there. We're going to take a look at today, and we'll see that in the chart. And then Marvell's the other with a missed earnings. If you didn't see the rocket explode, Google SN9 Starship. I think it was SN9 or 10 that blew up. Interesting video to watch. He's on to something. We think how big these things are. They're huge. Supposed to carry like 100 people eventually, targeting 2023. That's only 2 years out to take 100 people at a time into space travel. So again, Elon Musk stuff. If you're bored or if you can't find anything else to watch on Netflix, watch the real-time movie of our lifetime, and that's Elon Musk changing the world, right? Okay. Don't see anything else in there to talk about. Let's talk about our stocks of the day. So MTUM is the momentum index that I was talking about. So momentum's, when it's on fire, it's on fire. It will also overshoot to the downside. So if you think it in kind of a momentum, volatility based or a leverage based. If you're looking at like a leveraged ETF, or if you like the things that are looking at things like, instead of the VXX, I'm going to use the SVXY, which is a triple levered ETF. Well, momentum's kind of like that, because these names, as the big names, fast moving names run up, the momentum index is going to have a bunch of money piling into it, but it's also a pretty skittish bunch, and they're going to be leaving in droves too. So what's causing this? Personally, I think it's not the underlying names. It's a, let's leave and go to the Buzz ETF, because that's going to be the new cool thing, right? Excuse me. So that's why I think you're seeing these big sell-offs. Could you have traded that? Yeah. Could we look for, if you're a trader, look for opportunities when there's a shiny new ETF, find the similar ETF and then short it the day prior. There's risk in that. It's an advanced strategy I just threw at you, but you can see how that worked. This is just money flow over into the Buzz, or get money getting ready to flow into the Buzz ETF. So we'll get rid of that, and we will go over and get set up for our day trading. Excuse me. All right, have 4 names to look at here. Again, we have the SPY. We have DraftKings long. I do want to see if Buzz is trading yet. It is not, so we will have to come back to that. So you have DraftKings long here. You have OTOT. I have it zoomed out a little bit because you don't see it in the short. There's a pretty big bounce here. Again, this was OTOT was the they had the acquisition of, don't see it jumping off. We just talked about it, but brain is not 100%. Security rival against a security cybersecurity firm that they bought. And then you of course have Marvel missing earnings. So give me a second here. We'll get set up for the open. Welcome to the On Time On Target play of the day. You have 4 screens in front of you on the TD Ameritrade platform. We have the SPY on the left, so you can see the trending up going into the market open, which is right now. We have 1 long, which is DraftKings, up 2%. We have OTOT, which is a cybersecurity firm, down 8% on an acquisition. We have Marvell down 6% on a missed earnings. So Marvell's the one I like best, even though the market's higher. Marvell's the one I like best to the downside. What I'd really like to see is, with all this congestion up here at 43, in the first couple minutes, I would really like to see this back up into the 43 range and then take it at 43 on the way down, with probably a 50-cent stop or whatever it takes to cross the high of the day. But of course, it has to come up here. If it just falls like a rock from here, I don't think we can get into it from there. All right, switching to a 1-minute chart here for OTOT Security. It is moving higher. Again, I don't have as big a problem with this acquisition as the market did. We'll kind of take a look at it. All right, here we have Marvell backing up into the 43s as we'd hoped. Now we're going to wait for Marvell to establish the high of the day. Right now it's 43.60. You take your R unit, subtract it from that. That gives us an R unit, an entry point at 43.1 is what we're looking for the entry. All right, OTOT going higher. It looks like that will not work. Again, looking for 43.10 on the entry short, and Marvell Technology after missing earnings. Just gonna draw a little note here because I need to look away and see what's going on in DraftKings. There's our 1-minute chart there in DraftKings. Again, looking over here, Marvell short is where we're going to enter. There we go. It hit at 43.10. So take Marvell and go short again. And our unit to the high of the day is up here at 43.60. Okay, so there you get your upper stop in, so you minimize your loss. Again, if it hits it, no big deal. There will always be another trade. But when you're in this one, we got the arrow down here. See if it lets me draw it. Try it, yeah, a little easier to draw than yesterday. And then again, down to 42.6 is our first R unit. 42.1 is our second R unit. And then all the way down to 41.6 would be our exit point. So we'll kind of throw this back into here and see if it works. All right, looks like it's bumping up here. So if it does hit that new high of the day, which is right there, things tend to hold the high of the day. And you're right, it held it almost to the penny. And why that is, a lot of people have short orders up in here. So again, we'll see. So we're in this trade at 43.10. You could still take it here. And we'll keep an eye on it from there. All right, OTOT is pushing back, and so no go there. See if we could put Buzz here and see if it opened at the beginning. It did open. All right, so Buzz is open. So 8:30, so it opened here at 24.4, and we'll see how it acts. Super risky. You could just take it here and go long because people probably don't know it's open yet. So I'll draw the line there and then the up arrow for you, just so you can kind of see where it is. This would not be a risk unit thing. This is more of a scalp trade. Yeah, not a pure scalp trade. I wouldn't say that. You don't need to buy a ton of it and sell after 5 cents. But yeah, if you just want to watch money flow in, buy into it here and then see how much attention it gets through the day. All right, we're looking good in the trade. It did have a nice move down, so that does mean it has more potential downside there. So in the trade, I'm not super happy with this trade. I generally don't kill trades at 43.10, but this one, the way it's acted, I would say, yeah, let's move our upper stop from 43.6 to 43.10. That way, if it hits 43.10 again, we're basically back to even. I'm going to start going with that strategy a little more than I have in the past, just to avoid losing the R when we're already in the trade. So reset your stop here to 43.10, and then that way, if it comes up and hits that, then you're out. And no harm has been done to your trading account. There we go. So that's your new exit point is 43.10. So again, have it drawn in here at around 24.47. Again, when you really look at this, 20 from this is only 10 cents below the low of the day. So anyhow, if you're sitting at home and you want to do something, you can do this. All right, there just hit our 43.10. So back to our even point. So basically we're flat here. So equal sign, nothing harm, no foul done in the trade of the day there. All right, we'll keep it up there just to take a look at how it's going. All right, nice move up in the SPY. Let's take a look at the other indices. They're all in the green. They're all kind of screaming higher. So let's get a grid. We'll keep Buzz up, and we've got our Marvell. That's not going to help our short over here, but we're already out of it anyway. All right, let's take a look at some of the other long names. First of all, SKT. This is supposedly the name that's being manipulated today in the Wall Street Bets crowd. So let's zoom out just a little bit, kind of cage our brains into where it was. Okay, down at 16. Again, the dark blue is a day, and then this is aftermarket. So looks like somewhere on, should have been Wednesday. This is Tuesday. Somewhere on Tuesday, it got on somebody's radar scope for Wall Street Bets. Here is, you can see how this bar is wider, which means there's more after hours trading. So a little bit here, a little bit more here, and a ton of after hours trading, which means it's in play. And again, you can track the volume on this stuff to kind of know what's in play or not. And then there's the big move up to 25.60. So SKT is Tanger Outlets. It's mall-based retailer. You heard Kramer talking about this morning. They do have good leadership. It's just not the place you want your money, right? So this is a pure manipulation. If you're going to trade, this is something you could keep on your radar scope today. I don't really support what these guys are doing for knocking out shorts, and I think it's largely meme stock stuff. But if you have a trading strategy where you need something to move, SKT appears to be in play. Look at the millions of shares. Look at that trading volume. That's kind of crazy. Let's actually back that out a little bit. And yeah, so hardly any volume at all. We get yesterday, we get some spike at the open, spike at the close, and then pre-market spike bigger than any of those. And it's kind of crazy. So a lot of people trading that name today. All right, let's get back to the real world of long-term investing and see how things are doing. All right. Palantir up 5%. I like Palantir. Data is the new oil is the theme there. It has been struggling in this range from 22 to 25 or so. I think you'll look back in time and see that as a buying opportunity. Let's back this chart out, right? So kind of came down to the 25 level. That's a floor. When you bust through a floor, it becomes a ceiling. Process that for a second. But when you have something and it hits a couple times, once it goes below that, it generally turns into becoming a glass ceiling. I mean, there's a lot of people that are selling here at 25 now. So I think once it can get the momentum, if you will, to go through 25, then I think you're going to start seeing a move higher back into the 30s. So not really worried about Palantir. Boeing up. Boeing's been on fire. Lose an engine, stock goes on fire. Get it? Did not plan that. But let's see. DraftKings up 2.43%. They're toying with 70, which, I have a bunch of this. I may have to look at trimming. I mean, they went up to had earnings here, kind of screamed higher out of the 50s. I don't know. I don't know if it can keep it up here. It's hot right now, but probably time to trim some. CRISPR Therapeutics, leader in genomics. You know that. There's Google getting some love. I would say Google, Amazon, and Apple have all been kind of out of favor during this tech sell-off. So, $2,000 a share. It's obviously not something you can scoop up, but you have Google there, and then you have Amazon. Touch 3,000. I think that's probably going to be a pretty hard floor for Amazon. So entering in here for one of the largest companies in the world, I don't know. I just think that's kind of a no-brainer as far as adding more Amazon if you don't have a ton of it already. Again, $3,000 price point is not the easiest for everybody. Twilio is a name we talked about earlier. AT&T getting a little love. That's uncommon. Laser, just jumping around here again. That's LiDAR technology. Facebook, there's our Amazon. So a lot of names in the green, green and going greener, if you will, up to 0.5%, pretty much across the board. What's on the leaderboard to the downside? Say it wasn't so. There's Luckin, top of the leaderboard. Not going to make the cut line. No, it's not. There we go. I was going to say, how can 1% be the top of the leaderboard? I got Clickstream selling off a little bit. Some psychedelics leading the way in the sell-off. PSTH is the Pershing Square Tontine Holdings. It's Bill Ackman's SPAC. Selling off a little bit. Luckin, it's just had a few green days in a row. K-Web, so you're seeing some China names show up here for selling off. But really, when you look down, don't even get all the way to the bottom of the screen as far as red names. So like I kind of said in the open, I could see today being a green day, and could have saved it for tomorrow. Fridays are notorious for big green days, but maybe we get it today here on a Thursday. All right, let's get out of the charts. Well, let's look real quick, see how this ended up working over here. All right, I had us exit at the entry point at 43.10. It appears it would have been better to stick with that trade today, South and Marvell Tech. I bought an entry point at 24.47. You're up a few pennies. I'd call it even. But again, buying into this Buzz ETF, if that's your thing. Again, I wouldn't necessarily hold it long term. I think you can do better if you're in the individual names inside of that. Actually, I think that's less risky than more risky. Okay, let's go over no questions in the Q&A window. So let's go over to take a look at, I closed the, no, there we go. Investopedia real quick. Make sure I have the right screen shared out. I do. Okay. What is an ETF? So we talked a little bit about what a Predator brought up. Losing audio, that's not good. Hopefully y'all can still hear me. Mute and unmute real quick. So talking about an ETF, so you have an index. So again, an index is where somebody puts together, there we go. Welcome back, Burner. You have an ETF, or excuse me, you start with an index. Like the SPY is an index. We look at it every day. VIX is an index, right? It's just math. There's no people buying and selling it. It just is a mathematical, it's not model, mathematical representation of a group of stocks. That would be, or options, that sort of thing. So that's what an index is. Then you have index funds that mirror that index, which are actually exchange traded funds. So these funds say, hey, I'm going to mimic, the example right here. If you can see this paragraph, see if I can zoom that for you. So you have this paragraph. And so for the S&P 500, that's 500 stocks. So the S&P is an index. But then you have the SPY, which is the exchange traded fund, which people use to buy into and out of the index. So what's weird about index funds, like a mutual fund, I know I'm all over the map here. Mutual fund is just here. I have a basket. I'm Steve, the mutual fund manager. I have a basket of stocks. If you want to buy into my fund, put money in. If you don't, take a pass. Index, you are buying into the index, but what happens is if a bunch of money flows into the index, they aren't adding names to the index. The S&P 500 is the S&P 500. So when money flows into the SPY, the ETF has to turn around and buy the 500 underlying securities. And again, all this is automated. And what's weird is then say money flows in the morning to the tunes of millions, and then it flows back out in the afternoon. They have to turn around and sell all these names, right? And again, it's computer-based buying and selling, but there's no tax implication inside of the ETF. So it can buy and sell all day long. In fact, it has to. So for the momentum ETF, it'll be buying and selling DraftKings, Apple, Amazon, Twitter, those names all day long without any tax implications either to themselves or to you, which makes them extremely efficient. If you've had mutual funds for years, one of the things I just absolutely hated, it was, I don't know, 2000, it was in the early 2000s, and there was a down year. Yeah, that happened, right? Yeah, in our lifetime. Whatever the down year was, when there was one, I got a distribution in December for like $5,000. Well, I had to pay a bunch of taxes on a year where I lost money. It's like, are you kidding me? It's like, that is the worst situation ever, right? So the index fund is able to avoid that. So you still get distributions, which are the the dividends kind of paying out, but you don't get that December surprise every year, right? Like you do with your mutual funds, your long-term gain, your short-term gain, and your dividends and interest. So it trades just like a stock. So like I was telling Predator yesterday, none of us is as dumb as all of us. So the VXX does not directly represent the VIX, and it's not necessarily correlated because it trades on the open market. So you got traders involved, which can move a stock, kind of like GameStop. Stock was not correlated to the underlying value of the company, or any company that moves 10% or 5% in a day where nothing has changed. It's one thing if they announce earnings, and that makes a big move in the stock because that resets everybody's models, right, when they release those earnings and provide future guidance. That's actually math and investing. But stuff that there's no news out in a stock and it drops 8%, right? That's just market emotion right there. Okay, that's all cash and ETFs. That's talking about the total dollars in ETFs. Yeah, ETFs are widely popular because they're very efficient. They're cheaper than mutual funds, and they're that kind of step. If you're not ready for individual stocks, and that's okay. Hey, personal preference. Index funds are by far your most efficient investing, unless you just crack open index funds and buy the components of the index fund. That's the ultimate in efficiency. So, all right, a lot of topics for today. Thank you guys so much for joining in. We will see you guys back tomorrow on Friday, and our green day is starting to fade. So maybe it'll end up being tomorrow where we scream higher. We shall see. Have a good one.